Hello to all of the true American patriots, and welcome to my podcast. The name of the podcast, if you condone this shit, they're going to own your shit. And what exactly does that mean? Well, it's a derivative of a statement that was told to me many years ago about conduct. Condone conduct that you know is wrong. You're going to see it again, over and over again, and sooner or later it's going to be detrimental, or you're going to have to deal with it. So, in this case in point, we're going to talk about the history of America and how it condones conduct that everyone knows is wrong. And this is especially important as we approach an election in 2022 at breakneck speed. We have two particular parties. They're not perfect, but one of them believes in government and the other one has no beliefs in government. They are a caustic, destructive force in the body politics. All they preach is division, hatred, and a toxic type of racism that hasn't been seen in America for more than 20 to 30 years. They are a retrograde party, a party with no conscience, a party with no values. Although they say they have values, they say they're a party of family values. Well, whose family has those values? They're the party of patriotism, but yet they are nothing more than faux and fake Americans. They don't know what it's like to know diversity. All they know is if things don't go their way, we have to tear it down. If you didn't vote for them, the election must be rigged. If you don't think like them, there must be something wrong with you. If you believe that America is a nation of many different people and many different faiths, not just a Christian faith, then you're antithetical to their belief system. You are wrong-headed. You are anti-American, when in fact the true nature of these people is they're anti-American. They're always talking about the way it used to be, how the country was better years ago. But if you dig down into what they're talking about, it was when women didn't have rights, minorities were treated like shit, and they were the kingpins. They controlled the nation. To them, white supremacy is perfection. But I got news for these faux patriots. They didn't build this country by themselves. They built it on the sweat and grief and hard determination of every group, every nation in the world came here. And while many of them did not receive the full fruits of the American dream, they came here with hope and beliefs in the words that these faux patriots says, that all men are created equal, but in their mind, the only men that were created equal was the white man. They talk a good game, but as I have learned in my life, you talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk, and they don't want to walk the walk. They just want to talk the talk. They want you to believe and get on your soapbox and say, oh, this is the greatest country in the world, and anybody that disagrees with them is a communist. Well, I got news for you. That ain't true. People have given more to this country than many of them have ever even imagined to sacrifice. But we're going to get to that later. What we're going to do now is just to give you a basic concept of what this podcast is going to be about in the coming week. We're going to talk about how America condones actions that is detrimental to our society. When you sit at home and listen to your racist uncle spat about whatever, you become part of the problem. And you can sit there and try to cleanse your mind and say, well, it's not me, it's my racist uncle. But you are the one that, by your actions, that right at that time can change. Just like people in this country who allowed lynchings. There were a lot of good people in the crowd, but they couldn't help themselves. They couldn't come up there and say, you know, this is wrong. This is not right. This is not the thing to do. So they condoned the action of the crowd, of the people who had this irrational hatred of another. They became the cancer that lives today, that's fed by this disease of racism and xenophobia. So when you think you're not the problem, well, maybe you need to pass by a mirror and see it. Now, we'll be talking about that. But right now, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about me. I will be your guide. My name is the Scallywag. Why do I use that name? Because the Scallywags were what the people in the South called the people that came there to help the free blacks. Said these Scallywags is coming here and helping these black people vote. These Scallywags want us to have equal systems for the blacks. This Scallywag wants there to have equal education. This Scallywag wants this person to be able to own land, to be able to be treated, respected, and equal. Well, we can't have these Scallywags. So I've taken up the mantra of the Scallywag, because I believe that in order for America to be what she could be, she needs to let loose of her racist, her unjust past, and embrace the future that could be America. And that's what this podcast is all about. So, in the coming weeks, I hope that you will find something of value in this podcast, something that makes you think. Because in this podcast, we don't tell you what to think. We tell you what to think about. What we are saying is wrong, that's fine. You can always hate and binge listen to it and cuss me out over the podcast. That's fine. But I would hope if there is an inkling of justice inside of you, if you believe in America, as I believe in America, her greatness, her potential, then you will listen and find something to grasp upon, something to make you embrace a vision of America that has let loose of the white guy mind trick. And you say, what's the white guy mind trick? Well, the white guy mind trick is that if something that you want somebody to believe, you just say it louder. Just like, hey, we're all equals. There's no injustice. The police don't commit crime. The police don't treat anybody any different. See, that's a white guy mind trick, just like a Jedi mind trick. These aren't the droids you're looking for. And then The stormtrooper says, no, there's not the droids I'm looking for, but in fact it is. See, they use the white guy mind trick. Everything they say is so reasonable. Isn't it reasonable that we should have IDs to vote with? Isn't it reasonable that we raise our kids to believe in this great dream of Martin Luther King saying people should be judged by the content of their character? And he said many other things, but you grasped on to that. That white guy mind trick don't work anymore because there are not enough people to embrace it. You have used this system of faux anger to say, critical race theory, something that doesn't exist, that's nowhere. There's voter fraud everywhere, but you can't find me a piece of voter fraud anywhere that would change any election. But you pass hundreds of laws saying, we got to get that voter fraud under control. We got to stop these people from voting, because the underlying trick of the white guy mind trick is this. I don't want other people to vote. I only want my vote to count. I only want my word to count. I only want my opinion to be prevalent. I don't want to be held accountable for the things I do wrong. I don't want my children to know the evils I did in the past. I don't want to be held accountable for nothing. I want the law not to apply to me, but only under the subjects. That's the white guy mind trick. And let me tell you, America, the white guy mind trick don't work no more. You need to embrace the dream of America. You need to walk the walk, because I'm sure you've been talking the bullshit for a long time. So that's what the coming episodes are going to be like. I know it seems a little bit rough, but I think you're mature enough to endure it. I think you're mature enough to understand. And if you're not, I'm sorry for you, because the only hope in America we have is that we move forward, we progress, we take off that those shackles that's been holding us back for all these years. We understand that media is playing with our mind. They have billionaires who are spending billions and millions of dollars trying to cultivate an opinion that tells you the government doesn't work. Well, I think this government has worked pretty well for them. Over 200 years has been doing really good for them. They got it so that when the economy broke down, they were the first one in line to get paid. They got it so that when the COVID-19 hit, all of those businesses that were going under, they were the first one to get paid. But you know what they told you about yourself? And they told you that if they gave you money, it would be moral hazard, that you, as a peon, could only get money that would be detrimental to you. But not to them. When in 2008 and 2009, they brought us to the brink of financial ruin. They took people's homes. They shafted them, but they got their money. All the banks got the free money. But no, you think they would have gave you your mortgage and said, hey, let me help you, my American brother. Let me help you with your home. No. They got Steve Mnuchin in California robo-signing contracts and taking your house. But he got his money. So when you want to sit around and otherize someone, I think you're looking in the wrong direction. The others are the ones with the money. They're the ones who own the TV stations. They're the ones who have the the talking heads on television saying, oh, well, we can't have people not go to work in COVID. What would happen? We got to have those people risk their lives, and not one of those fucking pricks would risk their lives to save you or anybody else. So think about that. Think about that. That everything that would be good for you, they say you don't deserve it. You don't deserve Social Security. How dare you want to retire, to spend the last few years of your life not working your ass off for the man? How about that? No, we got to raise that age of Social Security so we can squeeze out every drop of usefulness out of you. You don't deserve not 1 minute apiece. There was a time in this country when more than half the people had wonderful retirements. You can see it. You know why you can see it? Because go down to any place like Sun City, all of these retirements, they're full of people that have really great pensions, and, they're sitting back on their lower, they're golfing, they're having a wonderful time. They're enjoying their golden years. They're dancing. They're doing all these great things. But look at you. They have taken away those great pensions. Now, Social Security is the base bottom. They're trying to take that. But they don't give you a pension anymore. They give you this great thing called a 401k. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The scallywag, he's been retired for 13 years. Hey, I had a good government job. They still had a pension, and I haven't had to work a day in my life for 13 years. I'm doing all right. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not poor. I get to eat every day. But you see, that won't happen to you. They've taken and taken and taken. I have a government pension and a 401k. Now, let me tell you a little secret. My government pension is going strong, and my 401k could not feed me for 13 years. And the scallywag was putting 20% of his salary in that 401k. And over a period of 20-something years, put all that money in there. Of course, we had some stock market crashes, don't you know? Because they say how great the stock market is. So right before the scallywag got time to retire, the stock market crashed and took probably about a third of all the money he had in it. But they don't tell you that shit. They don't tell you how you're going to get fucked by the 401k system because it's based on the stock market. So I want you to think about that when you're rooting for these pricks who's saying, oh, I'm going to take away Social Security. I'm going to take Medicare. And we'll discuss that in a later podcast about Medicare, Social Security, and stuff like that. Now, the scallywag never earned Medicare, Social Security. I was exempt from that. But I can tell you this, they're great programs. Medicare is probably the best program that you can have for medical insurance, because you know how the scallywag knows? Because when I retired, I had to pay through the nose on medical care. If you got Medicare, you're paying out of pocket maybe a couple of $100 a month. The scallywag was coming out of pocket for about $900 a month for private insurance. That was subsidized by his employer, but it still was coming out of his pocket. So he's telling you by experience that was a good program, because when he was eligible for Medicare, he got it because he had a wife that got him eligible for it. So now I don't pay $900 a month for no medical insurance that I had a deductible and cost sharing and all this other shit. Anyway, I digress. And that's how our podcast is going to go. So in this election season that's coming up, I want you to ask that question to yourself. Are the people I'm voting for working for me or working to fuck me? That's a wonderful question. Think about that every day. Think about what they're telling you they're going to do. Because as Maya Angelou says, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. When somebody tells you they don't believe in the government, believe them. And if they don't believe it, why do they belong in government? I wouldn't hire a fucking plumber to come to my house if he didn't like his fucking job. If he came to me and said, I hate my fucking job, I hate everything I got to do. I hate the people around me, I hate my employers, I hate everybody. Do you think I'd hire him to come work on my house? Well, that's the same thing with a politician. You're hiring that politician, and he's telling you straight up that he doesn't believe in any of the system. He doesn't believe that you deserve something that should be your God-given right as a citizen of this country. And what I say to you, my American friend, is fuck him. Let his ass go look in the unemployment line. Well, that's how it's going to be on it. If you condone this shit, they're going to own your shit. Because you can see there's a lot of pieces in there where they're trying to own your shit. And I'm going to try to talk you out of getting your shit on. Coming episodes, we're going to try to convince you not to fuck yourself. And that will be the premise of this podcast. Until next time, Scallywag out.